Chief Executive of the Advantage Travel Partnership. Julia, lovely to see you as ever. It's been a while since we spoke. Travel had an uptick, hadn't it? People were starting to travel again. Now this new variant raises lots of questions. What sort of impact is it having on your customers at the moment?
Yes, good morning. You're absolutely right. We've seen chopping changes in the travel restrictions over the past 20 months. We've started to see some recovery. A lot of my members now, travel agents across the UK, were starting to trade through to that. And unfortunately, changes over the weekend to show you how uncertain the times are. But also what happens, we have to be more agile. We have to be agile as businesses and make sure we can react to government change that come in place.
Yeah, that's probably easier said than done, though, isn't it?
It's very difficult. I was listening to a report before, if you're running a retail shop, you can make those changes probably pretty quickly. You can be pretty nimble. When you're taking people across the world and people are already across the world, operationally, it's very challenging. Communication is very, very important. And unfortunately, the industry does not get information in good time ahead of government announcements so that we can make sure customers are where they need to be in order to get them back in time. So incredibly difficult and incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, on the price of PCR tests for people returning from abroad, I know you're one of a number of people calling on the government to help travellers with that expense, to allow them to use the NHS test and trace service. Do you think the government's going to give way on that?
I think it's a really important point. We're now at a position where travellers have started to travel again. They were using the antigen tests, which are the slightly cheaper tests. PCR tests, unfortunately, we have to rely on the private test providers, and the experience to date has not been favourable in the main. So test results are coming back late. If the government's ambition here and objective is to ensure that we can, genomic sequence the PCR test, the best capability of being able to do that in a timely manner is through the NHS. So we're really urging the government to ensure that they can open this facility up for travellers, for international travellers, and not rely on the private sector.
So you're saying what's best for the individual is also best for the country?
Absolutely right. It's the private test providers do not have the same capabilities as the government does in terms of the lab for sequencing. We know in previous experience, looking at all the data, a very tiny proportion of all tests were genomically sequenced. So absolutely, we do believe that by doing it this way, the government meets their objective. We can start to genomic sequence much more of the PCR tests that are from international arrivals and meet the objective for everybody.
And of course, it is the time of year when we see and hear lots of ads from holiday companies encouraging people to think about booking next summer's holiday. I mean, how much has that been thrown into chaos by the arrival of this new variant and the uncertainty that brings? And how difficult is it going to be for companies, for travel agents, etc., to weather that?
The best thing that anybody can do really is think about how they book when they're ready to book. Through a travel agent, you'll get all the expertise, you'll get the financial protection. It's the best means to think about booking your future holidays or future travel plans. There is uncertainty. We do hope that the government will look at these restrictions in a timely manner. They committed to 3 weeks, so hopefully in 2 and a bit weeks we'll get a further update. But in the meantime, we are remaining positive. We are remaining optimistic. International travel is still possible. Lots of bumps in the road, but it's by no means are we back to where we were before. So I'm remaining very hopeful.
OK, Julia, thank you so much for your time today. Julia Lo Bue-Said, who is CEO of the Advantage Travel Partnership.